question of an open campus has been a recurring issue for students and for faculty and other members of the community. And that's why it remains something we need to address.
As I see it, it should be now, in preparation for the future, a campus that is open to all, that people are able to move freely onto and off of.
I think it's quite a porous campus, I would say. I wouldn't say it's an open campus. I think the campus is trying to send signals that it's not open. One of the greater dangers of the non-open version of the university we've adopted is to constantly perpetuate this impression that you have to request permission to move. Right? Moving around is not something that you can do freely. Moving around is something that comes as a permission that is being granted to you.
The challenge to us realizing this vision of being an open campus is the security measures that have been put into place recently, particularly after those threats were made online anonymously. The U.S. State Department released a report. The countermeasures on campus we saw public safety implement, particularly the checkpoint. Basically, the fundamental philosophy that we've seen emerge in the past few months has been that if you're on campus, you have to have a reason. And I think that's really contrary to the basic idea of what an open campus is and what it should be.
A lot of people were surprised by the institution of the checkpoint last semester, which seems to have continued until this semester. Even it almost seems a little bit more permanent with the structure that they've built there. Eventually, there will be multiple entrance points around the campus. There won't just be one access road, so that'll be a little bit different. But I think the checkpoint doesn't really seem to gel with that idea. And also just security guards asking for IDs around campus. It's not always consistent. Sometimes they ask for it in certain buildings and not others. Sometimes they ask for it just even when you're entering campus or kind of in the supposedly open spaces.
I did a little survey in class once, and I don't know, it would be interesting to see in university how it works, but there was only one student who had never been asked for his ID, and he was blonde and tall and blue-eyed. And the students who were being asked 5 or 6 times a day on average were all brown and of South Asian origin, South or Southeastern Asian origin. So, it seemed like there was some stratification in my class, but that was a sample of maybe 30 students, so it doesn't say much. But it'd be interesting to figure it out on the whole of campus. I think when we put barriers to entry towards the campus, we're going to filter out a certain number of, or a certain category of the population that feels underprivileged enough that they can't actually penetrate these barriers, right? It takes a certain sense of entitlement to see a security guard and say, well, I have a right to come anyway, right? Not everyone has that sense of entitlement.
Our security guards are fantastic. And something that I would really like to know more about is how the university leadership and public safety department are talking to and involving students, staff, and faculty, because we all share this campus, how they're involving them in the decisions about what security and safety on campus look like, and how, what's the vision for that, and also how it's executed on the ground level. So I think that there needs to be more conversation. It doesn't seem like that's happening right now.
Communication has dropped somewhat, but naturally, not because people had just decided to drop communication all of a sudden. And it only really takes a simple question on email from myself or anyone else. Really, it doesn't even have to be a person on student government, to someone like Rob or to someone else on public safety to get some clarification on what's going on. When it comes to our relationship with public safety, we have a wonderful one, and it's very productive. There's a high work rate, but there's always going to be some gaps.
So I think it's a balance, and while definitely public safety can be more receptive, I wish the student body more broadly, rather than just talking about it amongst themselves, would step forward and have their voices heard to the broader community.
An open space might not be a public space, but I think an open space aspires to being in public space, and I don't think we've succeeded very well at that.